Today we're going to take a closer look at the new Hercules 12 volt right angled die grinder, which I have right here. I had a lot of trouble actually tracking this thing down. My local stores have been out of it for quite a while, or haven't got a bunch of shipments in at least. I called a bunch of stores and I finally found one. The store near me actually had two available. I should grab both of them. I just grabbed one. This is tool only. This isn't a tool I use a whole bunch, but it does come in handy when you're doing a little bit more detail work, and I often do a lot of detail work in my art that I do. You can see I'm working on a little bit of I'm working on smaller fish currently right now, and you know, I can do most of the grinding and stuff with a bigger right angle grinder like the DeWalt here or that Hercules, but there's often times where I need a little bit more control. And previously I've been using this air right angle die grinder and it works pretty good, but I don't always keep my air compressor full, which I have right here. Don't mind the mess. I got like 8 projects going on. I don't always keep it full, and when it's ready to use, I gotta drag the hose out, which isn't a big deal in this shop, but it's just a kind of a pain in the butt working with another cord or a hose. I have all these cords right here and everything's always getting tangled up and it gets annoying. So I've been kind of moving to a lot more cordless stuff, and I thought this would be a good buy. Now, I had looked at the Milwaukee one. I was at Home Depot the other day. It was like 220 bucks. This thing was $59 for the tool. I already had the charger because I have a couple other Hercules tools, but then it was like 34 bucks for the little 2 amp hour battery. So today we are going to see how this works. Now, I think this is a pretty affordable option, so if you don't want to spend the money on the Milwaukee one like I didn't want to, I think this is probably a good buy. So let's unbox this thing and see what we got. I have never held this tool before. It wasn't even on display at Home Depot, or I mean Harbor Freight. Comes with a couple wrenches and a little belt holder, which I probably will not need. Here is the tool. It's pretty light. Let's see what it is compared to their tool. Is lighter, but it doesn't have the battery on it. So let's get the battery on it and see what it is. Now, this is a really small battery. One thing I've noticed with these Hercules tools is the tool takes a little bit to spin up. There's 4 speeds on the back of it. We'll keep it at 4. And like I said, because that my other tool, the other die grinder I use, you know, requires air, I actually don't use it a whole bunch because it's a pain in the butt hooking the thing up. So I thought this would make it so I would use this a lot more. So what I'm going to do is find a grinding disc somewhere, install it, and we will do a little bit of grinding with it. So let's put this thing in here. One thing that I wish this had, instead of using 2 wrenches, the new Milwaukee, the version 2 that it's either just come out or is about to come out, has a collet lock, right? So you don't need 2 wrenches. You can just use 1 wrench or your fingers, and you don't need to use 2 wrenches, which I wish they would do. So we'll use this sanding disc. I don't know what course it is, and we will grind a little bit of this fish. Now, this fish has these painted surfaces on it, and I don't really want to remove a whole bunch of the paint or the color from the sculpture. So this will hopefully allow me to be a little bit more precise in my grinding. You know, with a right angle grinder, like I said, the Hercules over here or this DeWalt, it's a little bit harder to control, and I'm hoping that I can get a little bit more control out of this. It is fairly light. It's still, even with the battery, really close in weight to the air power die grinder. It's a little bit clunky in the bottom, but it's a slim design, so that's not really that gigantic an issue. I mean, you might have a little trouble working in the tight places if you need to reach in somewhere, but it feels pretty heavy duty, and I think it's going to work good. So I have a little bit heavier weld than I probably should use this tool for, but I think it will give a good test on how this works. And you can use other tools for this collet. So right now I have a grinding disc, a fiber grinding disc. You can do the hard ones, and you can also do the carbide ones like this tool has, and those things come in handy. This tool is great too, but just a little bit heavier. So let's try this and see what happens. That works really good. I'm really actually excited that that works so well. I think that I'll end up using this thing a lot. The only thing I can really complain about is probably the length of the tool. As you can see, that the collet disc, or the collet, sticks out way past here. So if I mounted this disc in here, it would be, you know, right past the motor. But because the motor of this is direct drive, it makes this whole part longer, so it kind of feels a little bit weird out there, but I think you'll get used to that as you're, you know, using the tool. So feels a little awkward in the beginning, but I think that I'll get used to, like I said, using it the more practice I get with it. Also got a light in the front of it, which I don't think is probably a big deal, but it does light up quite a bit. So I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, so maybe it'll come in handy, but I've never really found those super useful on tools. This die grinder has a brushless motor, and Harbor Freight is offering a 5-year warranty with this, and there's 3-year warranty on the battery. This thing supposedly spins at 25,000 RPMs. Now I don't have the tool to test that, but as long as it works, I don't really care how fast it spins. So hopefully this will allow me to grind and polish. Now I do have some polishing discs, but we won't get those things out. Just one thing to remember if you're looking for this tool, the Milwaukee one you can get with a battery and a charger, I believe. I know it comes with a battery. You can get tool only, but these ones at Harbor Freight are tool only. So if you don't already have Hercules tools, you're gonna need to buy the charger, which is like 34 bucks, 35 bucks. And the smallest battery here is 34, 35 bucks. So all in all, I think this was $59. So 60, 70, 80, 90. Well, another 70, so 150 bucks total to get into this tool. And like I said, I already had the charger, but I had to buy the battery. So do math, 50, 60, 70, $85 total. Still cheaper than, or much cheaper than the Milwaukee, and it works awesome, to be honest. So I think it's a really good value for that price, especially if you're not doing a crazy amount of work. Now I do this full time, and I still have got some Hercules tools that have worked great. So if you're a weekend warrior or just do this stuff part-time, you know, I definitely would hesitate in trying some of these tools out. All right, do you have this tool? I would really like to know what you think of it. I'm pretty impressed with it with a little limited bit of use. If you want to see this tool more in action, make sure you look out for my other videos, especially this rainbow trout video I will be popping out here soon. It should be out in the next 2 weeks or so if I ever get this thing finished. But I'd leave a comment. I'd really like to know what you think of this tool, and if there's a tool that you use that is better, you know, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Anyways, thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe. It really helps me out, and I'll catch you in the next one.